Hi, Jen Gilchrist here. Thanks so much for joining me here. I'm going to be doing a reading for Twin Flame, Soulmate, Higher Love, Soul Connection type love reading. And I just did one row of the Divine Feminine and of the Divine Masculine, looking at their thoughts, their feelings, their desires, the outcomes, and then got some spiritual advice for each as well. So we're just kind of looking at the overall snapshot of the connection. I did turn the cards over. I haven't done like in-depth reading, but I did do that because I got a brand new deck yesterday, Oracle of the Mermaids. It just feels like if you're watching this in real time, we just had such a big moon cycle with Scorpio full moon this last weekend. And even the previous new moon was a lot around the Venus love, opening your heart expansion. And so I thought that this deck is brand new. So I kind of wanted to take the time to make sure I understood the cards before I started. So we're just going to go ahead and dive in. I'm going to start with the overall energy for the Divine Feminine, which is the one holding the feminine energy most often, the women. I'm going to read it from that perspective probably just because it's easier. And then the masculine most of the time is the male, but obviously sometimes it's just the person that's holding the masculine energy if it's the same sex situation, or sometimes, the roles can be reversed as well. But for the most part, the women are the Divine Feminine in this group that are following me. So the overall energy is Six of Swords. So the energy I was feeling from her is that she was just been through a lot of emotional purging. She's been kind of had her own maybe tower moment, if you will. It feels like a very conscious purging of emotions, of heart expansion. Perhaps something triggering happened within the connection. But there was a lot of awareness from her in this space, even though it might have been intense. And so I feel like she's now kind of moving through the emotions, getting that emotional strength, and actually gaining some clarity and beginning to be able to get strategic back into her mental space and really get back into her routine and her habits. It almost seems like it may have been kind of an overwhelming transformational period. And so now she's starting to get back into her power. It's not like she was not in her power, but it was almost like the emotions and the mindset was maybe taking over, and now she's kind of getting it back into alignment for herself. That's just kind of her overall kind of where she was, where she's going. And for the Divine Masculine, the male interest, love interest, I don't normally read reversals unless I feel called to, but I do in this case. This is just the bottom of the deck, overall energy for him as well. For a small few of you, there could be a third-party situation that's coming to an end, like decisions being made about that. But for the majority, I really feel like the growth period, as you've done this work and just cleared this emotional space in your heart, releasing your old, very consciously releasing your old patterns and woundings and things like that from past betrayals and whatever's gone on in your life with your past relationships that weren't so great, that got triggered from this connection as a catalyst. For them, I feel like they're now kind of, they're a little behind you in that transformation, but they're in it. They're starting to let go of that betrayal. They're wanting to. So the energy was reversed Three of Swords, but for the most part, I feel like it's more about them letting go of past heartache. Like there might have been an emotion, like it can getting triggered in the emotional connection that was happening. There's a lot of fear. And so there was the pulling away kind of energy, but mostly because it was an automatic like defense because of that past heartache. And so I just see that he's in a space of being able to begin to address letting that go, because he realizes that it's holding him back, right? It's holding him back from what he actually wants. And he's ready to begin to address these things that maybe he hasn't looked at in terms of the emotional pain of the past, that is going to actually help him be able to connect at that next level of love, which he actually is beginning to, that got triggered with him in this connection with you, right? He kind of got triggered into that, which may have made him pull away or run for a period of time to a degree, maybe not fully for some of you, but fully for some of you as well. There's just lots of different scenarios, so you kind of know where you lie within this, but mostly that's what it was. Just know that it was his fears. And so he's looking at that. He's starting to have awareness around that and willingness to want to move through that, right? So that's kind of just the overall energies for both. That way you kind of know if this sounds like this reading is for you. I'm going to start with the Divine Feminine's feelings around this connection, like where she's at in this right now. And again, I read very intuitively both the tarot cards and this mermaid cards. So if you know the deck, you might have more meaning for yourself. But this is what I'm getting, is that the Divine Feminine in her feelings is realizing she's starting to come back in her power. It's like she just went through her tower moment, and now she's starting to come out of it, and she's starting to realize that she needs to adjust her energy, right? She's realizing that she may have lost some of her habits, and so she's getting back into whatever the health habits or meditation or aura or energy work, or this says aura cleansing and health energy adjustment field. Like she just had a heart opening. I'm seeing like that heart catalyst of awakening, and now she is sort of realigning and starting to get back grounded and back in a more stable place, right? And if you haven't done that yet, then this is going to be helpful to get back into those morning routines, or to the meditation, to the salt baths, get some energy work, perhaps some support from somebody if you feel like you need another outside energy healer or reader or something like that. But for the most part, this is about your own health habits and the things that you do that keep your energy up, that keep your intuition connected, right? There was such a massive purging that she just went through, but now it's like time for her to like reclaim that balance, I guess is kind of where I'm getting. And she realizes that she just needs to start manifesting, right? She needs to start manifesting this. She has all the tools that she needs. She is ready to start using them, and she is starting to wield her power, right? In that sense, in a positive way of just creating what she wants, instead of like she's moved through the emotion and the mindset stuff enough to where now she can say, okay, now I've cleared the space and I'm going to get into my power. I'm going to do what I need to do, whether that's going to the gym, eating healthier habits, meditation, you know, those practices to get back tuned into her inner guidance and her intuition and her knowledge and her ability to just create that what she desires. And so that is like going to start feeling good. I think for a while she may have lost some of that for herself, right? Just kind of felt a little lost, even though there's a lot of conscious awareness. Because I feel like this divine feminine is very much evolved and aware of when she's triggered, not really projecting it on fully onto the divine masculine, realizing it just means it's a purging, it's a time to heal. It's like that catalyst for like, okay, now what do I got to look at and deal with, right? So she's aware of that. However, it was kind of intense and knocked her off her balance a little bit, but she's coming back. So that's awesome. The divine masculine and this time is feeling, he's getting into his power. He's getting back into his masculine power. So that's pretty cool. It says honor thy masculine. So part of it, I think, for him as well is there could be like he had a little defensiveness or something, but for the most part, I feel like he's opening up. Part of him is like he's rethinking and releasing maybe some mindsets and thoughts around his own power, his own confidence. Like he's starting to really step more into his confidence. I want to say, like his growth period is going to be around moving, you know, through the betrayal, past heartache and pain, and it's going to allow him to step more fully into his power, into his actual divine masculine power, not the projection of what society thinks or how maybe he's been in the past or whatever, but really just finding balance for himself, which also is kind of building, regaining confidence, right, and clarity and strength, in terms of really getting clear on what he wants. And part of it that he's feeling, and he wants to be that masculine energy. He wants to be there for her. He wants to be able to be on a deep level, but doesn't feel like it's fully happening yet. And then he's kind of feeling that he wants a new grounded, more stable beginning. Like there's a part of him that actually wants that, but he's kind of still releasing this old past betrayal, heartache and stuff. Mostly I feel from a past relationship, although it could be for some of you within your own relationship. I think most of you, this is like his past stuff. And a very, very small few of you could be third party that he's sort of between. But what he's contemplating is really getting into his power and creating a more stable offer, you know, a little kind of stable gesture towards the feminine. The feminine's, this is what I'm sorry, I think, I'm not sure if I said thinking or feeling, but here is, I gotta think about this now. So those first two were thinking. I might have accidentally said feeling, but what I just talked about was kind of what they're thinking about. Okay, so the feminine's thinking about getting back in her healthy habits, getting back into her manifestation powers, like focusing on herself, what she needs to do. And he's thinking about, you know, stepping into his masculine power more, what kind of grounded offer, stable offer, you know, does he want to make that he feels he can get behind right now, but he's still kind of contemplation. Now the feelings, the energy that I'm getting here, there's the keep going, endurance, and the moon. So I feel like the feminine is like, she's very motivated to keep moving forward. It's like they're in this deep, dark dark night of the soul moment. And she's like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm swimming deep. I'm going to keep going. So the energy is like forward movement, continuing to feel all the feels, continuing to just like weed through the emotions that are coming. It's like she's very good at recognizing and swimming in those deep waters, and she's willing to. And I just see her continuing. She feels she wants to keep moving forward through this and keep healing herself and keep purging and keep moving through, because she realizes that there's great expansion on the other side, and there's a lot of progress and heart opening for everyone, and that she's kind of leading the way. She's kind of leading the way for this to happen, and she's okay with that, and she feels good about that, or just knows that's what she wants to do. At the end of the day, she's healing herself, and that's only going to bring positive things on the other side. And the masculine is feeling like a little bit of retreat. And so some of you could be in separation, or just a lot of you have been, it doesn't feel like a super long separation, although it could be. I guess this is a very general read for sure. But no matter what he's retreating, he's feeling like he needs some of his own time, like private time, quiet time, alone time. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a hermit energy. Homeland, arrival, journey ends, establishment, building, settle. So first thing I'm noticing though is the turtle. So that's like retreat. He's wanting to retreat. He needs his quiet. He wants some solitude. He needs to have this time for himself. So he needs to have this time to reflect. So feminine's a little ahead of the game, you know, usually when it comes to like the spiritual awareness of what's going on, as well as the emotional healing. And so now he's kind of going into that phase now, but he actually needs to have some quiet time in order to do that, in order to process that. And there's also kind of a sense of a completion of a cycle. So I'm seeing here is like there's, you know, there is a time for retreating, but then it feels like he wants that cycle to end. Whatever's going on, he wants it to have a fresh start. He's still just not sure kind of how that's going to look, although the Two of Cups came out with it. So he does want to, you know, have a love offer. Like, and there is, for some of you, just based on the cards that have come out, two different ones very specifically that for me are like twin flame energy. So that could be confirmation for some of you. Take it as you will. Higher level soulmate connection. This is a spiritual connection for sure. Catalyst for growth and divinely guided. But for some of you, it could be, there's three different cards actually that lead towards that twin flame, high level soulmate, divine partnership. I just wanted to mention that. And so he does need to go inward in order to figure this out in his mind and his heart in both spaces. He does want to come forward with something, and his thoughts, more conscious thoughts, mental thoughts, it's kind of like a more stable offer than it was, but in his heart, you know, he feels this love. He feels this love. Okay, and for the desires, the feminine, so this is interesting. So falling in love and rebirth came up, the Death card. So these beautiful, love these cards, these ones. And so what I get for the desires, the divine feminine, yeah, there could be a feeling of falling in love for both of them, because he's got the Two of Cups in his heart space. I feel like it's not been spoken or discussed or maybe even fully acknowledged, but there is that feeling of love, which probably is what created tower moments for everybody, is in their heart chakra expansion. It's like, oh crap, in order to receive that, got to move this out, right? But also what I'm seeing here is this is the divine within herself. It says kissing the divine in another and in yourself. And so she's very aware of the spiritual connection. She's very aware of this process. She's very aware of marrying her own masculine and feminine. The more that she can marry her own energy within herself and heal and purge, that's why she's so willing to keep going. That's why she has this endurance and this strength, this emotional strength to keep healing and moving forward, because she knows the more that she can integrate and marry this within herself, her own self-love and her own, you know, masculine and feminine vibration. We both have that within each of ourselves. Like, so this is like a marrying of her own energy, but there is a sense of falling in love. That was the trigger for this. And she's starting to feel that in her heart as she's gone through this death and rebirth cycle. So she's a rising phoenix outside this big growth period that was a catalyst from that the relationship triggered a heart expansion, and now she's moving into that next level of ability to give and receive love, right? So there's definitely a rising phoenix energy here. She's coming up strong. Now for the divine masculine and his desires, he's still in this, so I have 3 cards. I was really only trying to get 1 and 3 flopped right out. So I'm like, all right. So the first card, again, there's, oh man, there's a lot of twin flame energy in this. Actually, there's like 6 cards now that as I'm starting to really look at this, I'll show you them at the end, but you know, take that as you will. But for me, I saw that as a seahorse. And seahorse is one of my own personal kind of, I think it's probably more universal, but when I see seahorses, there's definitely that divine counterpart situation going on. But the card for him and his desires right now is he's desiring a time out. He's desiring solitude, alone time, contemplation time, so he can find his awareness about the situation and what he truly wants to do and how he's going to do it. And within that, he's facing some of his own stuff. Again, I feel like he's starting to like realize, you know, this reflection. So reflections and time out are both kind of this retreat situation at homeland. So he needs it. So if you're the divine feminine, you know, I think just give him that space is the best thing, as much as you can. But I think he's starting to contemplate. I think he's starting to see what he's feeling. He's starting to see and notice and recognize that he's got some things to work on and let go of that might be stopping him from what he's wanting to feel more in his heart. And then the other card that came out was air. It says breathing deep, entering into life, exchange of life, bringing energy. I think that so I'm just seeing several things are coming up right here. There's this energy of he's renewing. So there's renewal, a sense of renewal for himself. So he's starting into his like shadow, like he's starting into his growth. I think he's just a little behind on the growth of purging, but not behind, but you know what I mean. It's just how it goes. Women usually go first or have awareness more first because we're already more connected to our emotions a lot. But there's a sense of like she breathed air into him. There's a sense of he's starting to like upon reflection realize that this divine feminine actually breathed air and life into him in a way, right? He's starting to recognize this connection. He may not call it spiritual connection or see it that way quite yet, or he may, but he's starting to recognize his desire beyond, you know, just like the deeper soul desire, right? And that benefit of what this relationship could potentially be, because the Empress was also on top of that, right? He wants the Empress, which is you, right? So even if there's a third party situation, don't worry about it. For the most part, I feel like he's healing old heartache, but there could be, you know, but either way, this is divinely guided situation here. So he's really starting to reminisce also, I feel, perhaps from kissing and touching and just being close to, he's kind of reminiscing in his reflection time and his time out time. So actually the time away is where he's finding almost like his way of kind of connecting with his heart in the situation again, and his true desire for the situation, where previously I think the fear was kind of overpowering. He's beginning to let it go and heal. So that's really great. And so for the outcome, the current outcome for divine feminine, I have to look at that. I might have to look this one up. Lemuria returns. Earthy spirituality, community, ocean. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to read this intuitively. I'm seeing this, like, it's almost like, it feels like this veil of rainbow. This feels like a divine bubble, a divine layer of protection. Almost, I know it's for mermaid tail, but I just see this divine layer of divinely guidedness, of protection. And she's very fertile. She's hitting into a creative time. She's starting to refocus her attention off this relationship and connection and onto herself, right? And onto her own passions, onto her own self-care things, onto her own, you know, wielding her magic in a sense, right? Because she understands that's just where she wants to be. That's where she needs to be, right? She needs to redirect her attention and her focus and kind of get back to her own passion and creativity. And it's a very fertile, creative time. Some of you guys could be pregnancy for some of you, but mostly I don't see that. But it is a new birth and a new beginning happening. The new beginning's happening, right? And then I see that with the King of Cups, which is the divine masculine, right? Stepping more after he's moved through this big growth, like being able to be more emotionally available. Whereas maybe in the past he wasn't really fully emotionally available, but that's what this healing has done for both of you. And neither was divine feminine, to be honest, to a degree, probably more so than the divine masculine, but the divine feminine just went through, I feel, a huge heart clearing, at that next level of being able to give and receive love for herself as well. And that was a catalyst for him to be able to begin to do that work too, right? Because he knows he kind of has to if he wants to be with this Empress, and he's starting to recognize her as that. And he doesn't really want to let her go, but he didn't know how to move forward because he's taking this time. So he's still in this. He's still in this. And it's going to be different timelines. Might take longer than you'd like, but over here, the divine feminine is kind of being guided into her own power to focus on her own things, her own creativity, her own passions as well, probably your purpose work. So then this is like, for me personally, I just got the card yesterday and this popped out and it was like my own personal twin flame card. And again, this may not be for everybody, but I just have to say it because there's the Lover's card, there's the Two of Cups, there's falling, there's just too many cards that are like very much in that vibration, but if not higher, divinely guided, soul aligned, soulmate love, at the very least, whatever label you want to call it. But for him and his outcome, the outcome for the divine masculine, it was saying telepathy, nonverbal communication, energetic pulses, and mind reading. And I see heart healing in this too. So I'm seeing the heart healing in this. I'm seeing a lot of that mirroring. I'm seeing the telepathy. So you probably, as divine feminine, he is not communicating this stuff to you right now. Yeah, he may not even fully have this for himself, although it's coming in more clear for him in terms of his depth of his feelings and like what he actually wants and what he might be willing to take a risk. It's almost like he had to get the courage and confidence as he's working with his masculine energy to take a leap of faith, right? He was afraid to get hurt again, probably had a lot of past hurts and betrayals. And I feel like the masculine and feminine are mirroring this as they do in a lot of ways, right? And so I feel like this is like, he hasn't quite communicating this verbally to you yet. Probably need to have a heart-to-heart conversation, but it's just not ready for that yet. And the telepathy is beginning to get more strong. I feel the divine feminine, this is like in her high priestess energy. She's super psychic and aware, and she hears that. She knows about that telepathy communication, but you might be hearing it in songs, right? You might be hearing it in signs or through songs or through, if you're super connected to them in the 5D, this is also kind of feeling like go to the 5D. If you haven't been there to connect with him in the 5D in a while, it might be a beneficial thing to kind of connect that energy of just like doing your own thing and just connecting in that 5D space and having your conversations there. It feels like there's a lot of astral happening on the dream space. He may be aware of the dreams. You may be aware of the dreams or not, but there's a lot of like 5D communication beginning to happen again, where I feel like that might have stopped for a period of time. It's interesting. I feel for me, when I look at this too, sometimes the telepathy will start picking up more strong. The empathing, the emotions is always there. I don't know. I'm just pretty open to all of it. But sometimes when you're not in verbal communication, the telepathy kicks up really high, which can be very distracting sometimes, but also in some ways can be good. So you just got to keep your focus and then connect in the 5D if you want to, have a conversation or recognize what signs are coming through, because it's happening in the 5D before it's going to happen into the 3D. Now then, along with the telepathy, I clarified a lot on this outcome because I was like, what? So then I got, because there's also 2 women here too, and then there's still the 3 of Swords. So there's a couple possibilities again for that also to be a decision between 2 people kind of a thing. But the Queen of Swords came up with this. Originally, this is what I got for the outcome. And I was like, well, maybe he's getting ready to actually come out of the telepathy and speak some truth, which I think could be true. It could be also how he's viewing you. Like maybe you spoke your truth and he's like, I don't know what to say to that. So I'm just going to fucking send it mentally. Sorry for but yeah, this is an intense little thing sometimes. And so he's just like still not communicating any of this. I think he's still actually figuring it out for himself at the same time. So that's why he'll come forward. So then I clarify, well, what does this mean exactly? Is this another person? Because I don't really see seeing you this way. What's happening. So then I got the Hanged Man, which makes sense. So he's still stuck. But he's becoming illuminated. And I don't read reversals much, but in this particular deck again, or this, unless I'm told to, and I got this, that he's starting to get illumination. He started to come out of the Hanged Man. So he's still kind of stuck in his own space, still needing his quiet space, so just let it be. But he's kind of coming out of that stuck Hanged Man position, and he's starting to find illuminated clarity. I see his crown chakra. I see his awareness. I see there's a lot of angels and spiritual support coming around. So then I clarified, okay, well, after the Hanged Man, what's he going to decide? And then I got the Queen of Cups. So then I'm back to, okay, so is there 2 women here? And this, for some of you, I think it is. For some of you, this is, 2 people, but I don't worry about it. I see you as the Queen of Cups, but what's great about that is that you've got the King of Cups. So in the outcome, you guys have a divine matching pair. So there's another sign. So there's just many signs that this is super high level spiritual connection opportunity. And so whether it's a third party or not, for most of you, I don't actually think it is. He's going to choose you. Okay, because you're the Queen of Cups. Now, for most of you, I think that you probably went into your Queen of Swords energy. Now he's gone quiet, and he's thinking, and he's like, oh, what am I going to do? And he's like, okay, I kind of really want my Queen of Cups. Okay, the emotional fulfillment. And that, that's, for those that don't do tarot, I mean, that's like that emotional fulfillment, emotional, spiritual, physical, mental, full on connection, not just, basically he's becoming emotionally available at a deeper level. So then after the Queen of Cups, I don't know, I just kept clarifying. So I'm like, what is going on? So outcome, let's get to an outcome, okay? Because there's still like no action happening. So it might be a little while. I got the Temperance card. So he's finding his balance. He wants to find the balance, again, divinely guided. He's waking up to his awareness. I keep seeing the crown chakra. He's probably going through a little bit of awakening with his intuition a little bit stronger. He's reminiscing. He's thinking about things. He's reminiscing. I see he sees you in a positive light. And then, of course, the Lovers and Ten of Pentacles came out. So eventually you'll get there, but it took a long time to get there. So I don't know. I think everyone's on different timelines. For some people, it could just be a couple, few weeks, couple of months to longer. I mean, I think everyone's timelines are just, everybody's so on a different place with this, but I had to keep going, through this. Let me think about it. What do I really want? Yes, I really want that. I'm going to listen to my epiphanies. I'm going to, it's like it took a minute. So, Divine Feminine, be patient. Focus on you. Focus on you and your work, right? And having fun and being with your friends, too, just like not having to carry the heavy burden of anything. So the advice cards that came through for Divine Femme was 3 of Ariel, which is like 3 of Pentacles. It says, do what you love, a time of great personal growth in your career, artistic endeavors, working with others in a cooperative manner. So part of it is like compromise too. So part of it is like, I think, could be working on the relationship. But for the most part, I feel like you need to, it's like working on your stuff, doing what you love, creativity, perhaps painting. But I feel for a lot of you, is because a lot of you are twin flames, or just light workers, right? You guys have a spiritual purpose to help evolve and awaken humanity. And so part of it is that you're getting like, this is time to focus on your purpose work, right? To get more aligned with that and beginning to take action on that. But also pull your energy out of like getting so sucked into like the telepathic communication or the emotional, empathing thing, all that goes on sometimes in these really spiritual type connections like this, when you're really highly sensitive and aware, it could be a lot. And so just redirect your attention. Staying open, but redirect your attention. And then Adrift, letting go and allowing higher forces to take charge. So part of your also lesson, Divine Femme, is like surrender, release, let go, let God kind of a thing. Allow divine timing. And sometimes that's the hard thing. So it's, again, surrender to patience. I know it's annoying. I don't, probably every reading always says that, but it's reality, right? That's how you're going to get back into flow. And so part of her is just, surrender, full surrender, and just know it's a super, it's a soulmate experience, whether this is your person or leading you to your person. Let go of that attachment of it needing to be this person. At the same time, there's a high probability for majority of you that this is your person. So take it as you will. But if not, as you continue to fall in love and marry and do this work and keep persevering and keep going into the depths of healing yourself, your King of Cups is going to show up, right? It's just got a lot of matching here. So I feel like for most of you, this is your person. And so at the same time, you're reclaiming your own authenticity. You've just gone through a lot of healing. You might feel a little vulnerable yourself. That's why it's important to just nurture and take care of you and really continue to sink clearly more into who, authentically who you are. But I feel like there could be a sense of vulnerability here that you could be feeling. So again, take good care, self-care, for sure. I feel like the feminine energy is like really clear about who she is and what she wants. And so stay true to that, stay true to that. It's tempting sometimes to come outside of that There is compromise. So the energy of compromise, there's certain things that you can just compromise, and everybody's got to work on things and let everybody be themselves for sure. But at the same time, you can't compromise your values. And so those need to be expressed. You don't want to compromise your values in this connection, even if it is your divine connection, especially. I mean, no matter what, in all connections, doesn't matter. You have to just stand up for, you know, your boundaries and your values for sure. And that's just part of you coming into you, who you are, which is why maybe some of you did come into that Queen of Swords energy of saying, hey, you know, this is how I feel. And that might have triggered some things. And then the other card you guys got was persistence. And I see 6th chakra too. So really pay attention, use your intuition, your clairvoyance. The gold ray, I feel like, you know, I always see that gold ray. It could be Christ consciousness if you're connected to that energy. But no matter what, it's that divine energy, really connecting with your higher self, your higher knowledge, your wisdom, your intuition, and stay persistent. Keep on keeping on. Keep on keeping on. And continue to liberate yourself into that freedom. I love this card, Hawaiian. But it's that freedom. Freedom. You're freeing yourself, right? The more that you heal, the more that you grow, the more that you're healing yourself. And a counterpart's going to come in, whether this person looks like it feels like they're going to do it, but if they don't, another soulmate will come in at that level that can give to you at that level. So don't let that get obsessive. It's just a way to kind of just take the expectation out of it. Because if you're doing the work that I can see that you're doing, it's going to happen for you. And I do see that for the majority of this is going to happen with this person. So that's really awesome. But keep liberating yourself and to choose freedom, choose peace, do your thing, right? She's independent. She's strong. She's sovereign. And everybody's got to be sovereign within themselves. That's why we're breaking down. Can't be in that codependency feeling. You know what I mean? Both people need their freedom and independence, and need to be independently strong to come together and not have that codependence, so that people don't start feeling suffocated in the old, you know, codependent patterns. That's what we're breaking. That's what these high level relationships are here to do on earth, really, as a collective, is to raise that vibration of giving and receiving at a higher level of unconditional love. And it takes a lot of work, right? But this was decided before we entered together. So, you know, again, whether this is a relationship that you're meant to go through, it's going to be leading you to that higher one or not, let go of that expectation so you can have that peace and freedom to allow it to come in. Right? To receive was another aspect. And also, I don't remember what the other card was, but basically adrift, letting go and allowing higher forces to take control. So that just tells me divine timing. And the more that you are worried about it at a specific timeline, then you're just kind of slowing down with resistance of it not happening. You're slowing it down. So for the divine masculine, his advice cards from spirit that I'm seeing here. So he's going through this space of, it says experiments, manipulation of nature, forcing change, pursuit of knowledge, arrogance. So part of it, basically what I'm seeing in this intuitively, is he's facing his shadows. He's being forced to face his shadows. Now, part of his ego may have gotten reared up. He might feel a little defensive or resistant or like defiant, or like feeling like, oh, I don't want to be controlled. Like, I don't know, there's just, you know, that's the ego. But again, it's all these fears, but it's really from this past betrayals and heartache. I feel mostly wasn't with you, but it, you know, it could be for some of you, but mostly it wasn't. It's just kind of, you know, his experience have led him to be guarded. So he's facing his shadows and he's having to deal with that, but he might be kind of like retreating a bit right now. He needs to be, because that's how he's going to heal, but he may have retreated more from an ego space at first, because he felt like he was being forced, like maybe being pushed into change or something. And maybe you did, I don't know, you know, to a degree. It's all, well, everyone's human here. But for the most part, it's like, I think he is learning to move through his comfort zone. I think he's gotten comfortable in his comfort zone because it was safe. And now he's got this contemplation of feeling that, oh, this Empress and a little bit of, you know, breathing, you know, the breathe card, you know, this has sparked a desire in him he wasn't really expecting, that triggered all this fear. And so he's facing these past fears, right? The divine feminine triggered this in him, and now he actually wants her, and so he's going to do it. But part of that for him is going to require him to move through his comfort zone and be able to let go of some of the ways of being that it was, so that he can let new in as well. He's also in a space of yearning. Like, he actually is, like, there's a conflict happening because there's part of him that wants to hold on to the comfort space of how it's been. And there's another part of him that's longing for you. And he's not happy about the separation. If you guys are in full separation, he doesn't want that. He's yearning for her. And for some of you, this is just all happening when he's reminiscing as well. Where's the reminiscing? You know, he's thinking about this, thinking about you and times you've spent, and like his desire is there and it's building, even though he's trying to pull away, perhaps. It's there and he's recognizing it, which is forcing him to realize that he needs to let it go. He also needs to let go and let divine timing go, but he also needs to let the heartache go. He needs to let the comfort zone go. He needs to let the fears go. He needs to just go with the flow. Like he's kind of he's having that epiphany that that's what needs to happen. So the epiphany card is kind of like, you know, again, with the Hanged Man energy, I saw that too. Joy through spiritual growth, be a light to others, answers that come through meditation. So again, he really does need this quiet and alone time. So the more space you give, the better off for everybody, the quicker this will move. He is divinely guided. He is going through a spiritual awakening. This kicked him into a spiritual growth, into a dark night of the soul that he wasn't prepared for. And so he might have gone, you know, kicking and screaming a little bit to begin with. And for him, he's going, again, that heart, I see heart healing. This is Paul Venetian. It's about artistic creativity, creation. But most of what I'm noticing is his hand on his heart, the roses. I'm just seeing all this like divine energy and healing and awakening happening. And he's kind of like filling his heart, right? He's like, ugh. But he's gonna work it out. Feels like he's gonna work it out. At the end of the day, I mean, I see that this could take a while for some and not as long for others, because again, I had to clarify quite a bit to get to, you know, him finding his balance through all of this and really deciding to move to that 10 of Pentacles, which is that solid foundational, you know, relationship at that point. So that is the reading. I don't think, let me see if there's any more messages that want to come just through here. And it's funny because earlier the mother-daughter card comes. So I guess the last thing I'm going to say for the Divine Femmes or whoever's watching this, trust, first of all, you know, again, just sink more into that trust and patience. The father, brother, son. And then the before I started this reading, one fell out that I didn't take, but it was the woman one. It was the mother, sister, daughter. So I just feel like, again, you guys are working so much on clearing out your own masculine and feminine healings. Any forgiveness work that you can do will help speed this along as well for the masculine and feminine lines within yourself. And that kind of creates space for the divine masculine's energy to shift with you, because you're kind of doing the growth first. And then it kind of creates that spaceway for him to, you know, be called into that energy. If he wants to stay as a vibrational match to you, he has to grow. Otherwise, you guys will just drift apart, right? And I don't think he wants that. And so for you, it's just looking at this as spiritual law of attraction and really not taking anything personally, whether he does go or stay or whatever he chooses to do. You know, it's not on your timing. Just allow it to be and surrender as much as you can and just keep doing your own inner work like you're doing. And you're going to reap a harvest. You're going to reap a harvest. And the last one that popped out is strength. So just continuing that strength again, infinity symbol here, divinely guided situation. And yeah, a lot of seeing a lot of love and a lot of strength in this too. So just keep filling up your own love cup and take care of you and do the things like put your attention on manifesting what you want and really disciplining your habits. If you're finding your mind kind of wanting to take over, as it does want to sometimes, like redirect your attention into your own passions, your own heart's desires, your own cleaning up of your own energy, recognizing how this law of attraction is coming in, like what's this part for you? What is this mirroring? Because there's always work for both of us. This is always, these spiritual relationships are mirroring for us to do our own work. And the more that we don't project it onto another person, again, not giving up your values or accepting bad behavior if it's not healthy behavior, but it is about being in honoring and in integrity of your values and your boundaries. And for the most part, I don't feel like this masculine energy that you're involved with, it doesn't feel like there's been a lot of like bad like negative karma between the two of you personally per se. It feels like you guys are really in a space of clearing the old stuff, you know, past things. There's a lot of love. There's a lot of lightness. There's a lot of tenderness. There's a lot of Yeah, I don't see a lot of like intense energy really, except for the fact that there's just a big healing for everyone going on, which is very emotional. So let me know how this resonates for you. I love seeing the comments below. Like and subscribe if this resonates for you so that you can get notifications. I think I'd like to try to start. I've never gone live on YouTube. I go live on my Facebook page, so you can, for individual readings a lot there. So you can check the description below and I will share some free resources. I think I will share my forgiveness freebie. I have a forgiveness freebie because it's all about healing. It's a 4-step process with a guided meditation. It's just like a whole thing that you can do. It doesn't take that long, but it's super powerful. And the more that you clean up the energies in it, between your mother, your father, past relationships, all the men in your life that, you know, could have happened, as well as all the women, the more you do that healing work, the more that your vibration rises. And that just gives space for the, you know, the masculine to do his work as well. So, but we're doing it for ourselves first, right? Falling in love with ourselves allows you to fall in love and be loved by the other. So awesome job, ladies. I love that rising phoenix. I'm a Scorpio, so that's the part of our gig, right? Deep transformation. And it's kind of intense. Even for me, this was. Okay, so have a great day and we'll talk again soon. Bye.